At a time when speculations are rising over KP Oli administration's leaning towards Indian government, the Foreign Ministry has surprisingly remained silent over border issues in Lipulekh and Limpiadhura. With reports that India has intensified construction of roadway connecting Indian land with Mansarovar in Tibet using Nepali territory, the experts are suspiciously looking at the Foreign Ministry's refusal to even issue an official release or at least a diplomatic note. Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanama and these are the top stories of the hour. The government fails to initiate a study on the unprecedented disaster in Melamchi Bazar, faces problems in the relocation of flood victims from Melamchi and Helambu. 44 more COVID patients succumbed to the virus in the past 24 hours. 1.4 million senior citizens reel under uncertainty over the second dose of COVID vaccine. Supreme Court issues an interim order staying the government decision of exporting stones, sand and pebbles. And England settles for a goalless draw with Scotland. Czech Republic and Croatia share points with 1-1 draw at the Euro Cup. The Supreme Court has issued an interim order staying the government decision of exporting stones, sand and pebbles. The Constitutional Bench, including Chief Justice Cholindra Samsher Rana, has also asked for clarification from the stakeholders, seeking reasons for the government decision. The government, through its budget, had introduced the program of exporting stones, sand and other construction materials in a bid to reduce the country's trade deficit. 7 writs were filed at the Supreme Court seeking a stay order on the government decision, citing that the government move would escalate desertification of the Chure region. The raging mud flow wreaked havoc in Melamchi Bazar on Tuesday. Hundreds of acres of cultivable lands were swept away by the raging flood waters. The muddy flow since Tuesday has decreased to a certain extent. However, it has not subsided completely. The government, meanwhile, has failed to initiate a study on the unprecedented disaster witnessed by Melamchi Bazar.
The Meteorological Forecasting Division, this Tuesday, the day when the flash floods in Melamchi River struck Sindhupalchok, had predicted moderate rainfall. The division, however, had not predicted any scale of floods in the region. The region witnessed incessant rainfall, while a never-seen-before muddy flood on the river inundated Melamchi Bazar. In the aftermath of the wide-scale disaster, 7 individuals were killed, while over a dozen are still reported missing. Over 500 individuals were rescued and moved to safer locations. Floods in the northern part of Melamchi River, along with mud flow from Helambu, remained blocked for some 7 hours, which finally burst, wreaking havoc in Helambu's Timbu Kiwal Chanote before hitting Melamchi Bazar. The region is likely to receive more rains in the coming days, and devastation of similar scale cannot be ruled out. Geographically, the northern area of Melamchi falls under high hill region. According to the Department of Mines and Geology, the area consists of sandy mud and pebbles. Meanwhile, the concerned department is yet to categorically inform about the places that were hit by landslides, which, according to initial speculation, triggered the mud flow. The concerned bodies are also yet to determine whether the mud flow, the first of its kind in the region, was actually caused by the said landslides that got blocked, or there was some other reason behind the scale of damage. Unfortunately, the Meteorological Forecasting Division and Department of Mines and Geology have been shrugging off their responsibility of responding to all these unanswered queries. The case provides a glaring example of height of irresponsibility our state authorities can exhibit despite the unprecedented scale of devastation suffered by general public.
Meanwhile, based on a latest report, the water level in Melamchi River has once again risen. A school building has been washed away by the floods last night. The local administration has urged the people to go to safer places after the rise in water level. Now, Tamakosi River has been blocked as a result of landslides triggered by heavy rainfall in the region. Chief District Officer of Dolaka, Basudev Pathak, informed that the river was blocked by a landslide near pillars 60 and 61 in Tingri at the border with China. Pathak, quoting Chinese officials, informed that a lake has been formed at the incident site and that the Chinese officials have warned of a possible flooding in the Nepalese side. CDO Pathak said that the locals have been urged to move to safer places and security forces have been mobilized in the area. The country continues to reel under coronavirus as 44 deaths were registered in the past 24 hours, taking the COVID-19 death tally to 8,641. The total number of COVID-19 cases has reached over 617,000 as 1,963 more individuals tested positive. According to the Health Ministry, 13,037 tests through PCR method were carried out and the infection rate in the country now stands at 9.6%. 4,020 individuals registered full recovery yesterday, taking the recovery tally to over 5.49 million, while the recovery rate stands at 88.95%. Based on the Health Ministry's report, 55,375 of the infected are currently in home isolation, 872 in intensive care units and 246 on ventilator support. Meanwhile, some 1.4 million senior citizens have been reeling under the uncertainty over the second dose of COVID vaccine, which is already due by over 2 weeks. Health experts have also warned that if the second dose of vaccines is not administered on time, it might lead to a scenario where they might need to repeat the first dose again for the vaccine to work effectively. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been showcasing unusual silence regarding the encroachment of Nepali territory by India. The Foreign Ministry has shown no inclination on the issue despite repeated approach from Darchula District Administration, which has repeatedly sent details of Indian encroachment on Nepali land in Lipu Lake.
Life around Lipu Lake in Darchula has been gravely affected as India used explosives while constructing a roadway connecting its land to Mansarovar in Tibet. Movement in Bias rural municipality has been completely obstructed as the main road has been buried under debris triggered by blasts used by Indian construction workers. The massive use of explosives, which resulted in relentless landslide, has also given way to fears that the natural flow of Mahakali River could be diverted, raising fears of inundation of settlements. Darchula District Administration briefed the Home Ministry at the centre regarding the alarming development. The Home Ministry on its part drew the attention of Foreign Ministry regarding the issue, while the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has remained indifferent to the unfortunate development. Even as the Home Ministry is claiming that it has initiated the desired legwork on the issue, the Foreign Ministry meanwhile has even refused to make an official comment. Indian Minister for Defence Rajnath Singh last week had congratulated the Border Road Organisation, a team of workers involved in the construction of road connecting Indian land with Mansarovar in Tibet. However, the Foreign Ministry back home has not even felt it necessary to issue an official release or diplomatic note questioning the Indian construction activities on Nepali land.
In our Public Voice segment, we've asked locals in Biratnagar what should be the priority of upcoming budget to be introduced by local levels. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
शिक्षा स्वास्थ्य यातायात सञ्चारलाई ध्यान दिनु पर्यो ताकि आम सर्वसाधारणले चाहिँ परिवर्तनको महसुस गरून्।
युवाहरू जुन बेरोजगारीमा अहिले अब खाडीतिर पनि जान पाइरहेछन्, नेपालमा पनि बस्न पाइरहेको छैन, राम्रो कमाइ इन्कम छैन भने अब उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ नि खास गरी रोजगारीमा पनि ध्यान दिनु पर्यो।
मजदुरहरूले काम पाएका छैनन्, त्यसलाई काम दिलाउनु पर्यो जसले गर्दा उनीहरूको समस्या समाधान होस्।
अहिले कोरोनाको महामारी छ, कोरोना सम्बन्धित बजेट ल्याउनु पर्छ।
शिक्षा स्वास्थ्य र रोजगारीमा स्थानीय निकायले ध्यान दिनुपर्छ।
बाटोघाटो निर्माण पुलहरू यस्तो निर्माणमा चाहिँ एकदमै ध्यान दिनुपर्छ।
महामारीमा चाहिँ ध्यान दिनु पर्यो पहिलो त, सेकेन्डमा एग्रिकल्चर दिनु पर्यो किनभने एग्रिकल्चर यहाँ बर्बाद भइसक्यो।
Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, what should be done to utilize surplus electricity during rainy season? Your options are A. Reduce tariff, B. Increase domestic use, and C. Emphasis on export. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for our special segment, Media Watch.
The Constitutional Bench of the Supreme Court had asked Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli on 9th of June to furnish his clarification within 7 days to the writs filed at the court demanding for the reinstatement of the House of Representatives and appointment of Nepali Congress President Sherbahadur Deuba as the Prime Minister. In his response filed at the Supreme Court on Thursday through the Office of Attorney General, Premier Oli emphasized that the signatures used by the opposition alliance should not be given official status. Prime Minister Oli accused the writ petitioners of attempting to impose a partyless system like in the Panchayat era, terming the move of the opposition alliance as anti-constitutional and against democratic values. Prime Minister Oli argued that lawmakers from his own party cannot sign to support the candidate of the opposition alliance, adding that lawmakers are not allowed to violate party discipline. Meanwhile, the Office of the President has replied to the Supreme Court saying that it could not appoint a Prime Minister as there was no concrete basis for both the claims presented under Article 76(5) of the Constitution to win the vote of confidence. In the reply submitted through the Office of Attorney General on Thursday, it was mentioned that both KP Sharma Oli and Sherbahadur Deuba received support from lawmakers of rival parties, which was against the decision of the concerned parties. The clarification has mentioned that the claim of Nepali Congress President Deuba, who was nominated from the opposition alliance, taking the support of CPN-UML and Janata Samajwadi Party, could not be endorsed as both the concerned parties had written asking not to recognize them. The Office of the President replied that Deuba had filed his claim including the decision from only 2 parties, while in the case of other parties, there were no supporting documents along with doubts raised over the signatures of the lawmakers. Floods and landslides triggered by incessant rainfall wreaked havoc in various parts of the country this week, with casualties reported and many people still missing. Sindhupalchok's Helambu and Melamchi Bazar were hit the hardest by the rain-induced disaster. On Tuesday, a landslide struck Helambu Nakuteka, which triggered a mud flow up to Amdathan, Timbu, and Talamarang, a distance of 22 kilometers. One entire settlement in Helambu was wiped out, while the mud flow inundated settlements in the vicinity. The Securities Board of Nepal, the only stock market regulator in the country, published a list of 51 companies on Tuesday, saying that their share prices went up in an unnatural manner in recent time and pointed out that it was risky to invest in them. A shockwave hit the stock market the next day following the release of the list. The move has now mounted pressure on the board itself to probe into the matter and take action against those who are involved in manipulating the shares of these companies. This is Abhyuday Shrestha for Media Watch and Kantipur News Desk.
That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend.